TitleMatchNetwork.com.
What's the best way to start off with? Lawler was trying to get me to do, like I said, the WWF TVs.
Okay.
Where I would lose. And, just put guys over on TV. And one of the first ones he took me to, they actually put me with Lex Luger as Lex's flag bearer. I was telling you this. And
Tell people about that real quick.
Real quick, it was on a Raw. He was wrestling Yokozuna. It was 94. It was probably April or May of '94. I don't know exactly the time period. I can't remember. It was '94. Yeah, and it was one of the qualifying matches. It was on Raw, and they had me come out as his flag bearer. I remember it was Lanza or Tony Gurria. I think it was Tony Gurria. They came up and said, no, I think it was Mike Rotundo, of all people. IRS. Yeah, it was Rotundo. No, I'm thinking about it. He comes up to me and says, we're going to have you do Lex's flag bearer. I was like, okay. And what we need to do is, mainly we get fans to do this, but we need somebody to take a bump for Fuji. And to me, I knew who Fuji was. I kind of saw him on stuff in the 70s and 80s. To me, that was cool as fuck. And so to make it short, I walk out there with Luger, waving a flag, do the spot in the match where he comes over, Fuji comes over, grabs the flag from me, I go to pull it back, he gives me a chop in the neck, I take the bump for him, Lex comes out, takes the flag back, gives it to me, Yoko pops him, posts him, Lex goes down, drops the leg on Lex gets counted out, Yoko advances, I'm outside the ring, Lawler even throws a jab, I can't remember what they called me, it was Scotty something.
They mentioned you by name?
Yeah, Vince, of all freaking people, Vince fucking McMahon goes, I think, he didn't say, I was wrestling by Scott Studd at the time.
Right.
I think he called me Scotty Antol or Anton or something close to my real name. Cause I think he had that on a sheet where my real name was. You had to supply that info to him. So I think he called me by my name on camera. And then Lawler goes, yeah, that's when he had the foot thing going on. I think with Kiss My Foot with Bret Hart. And I think he goes, yeah, I'd like to stick my foot in that flag bearer's mouth. So Lawler actually gives me a nice jab, which is putting you over.
Yeah.
And to make a long story short, with that, again, did that thing with Lex. So the next night, that was Monday. The next night at the Superstars taping or something, they didn't work me in a match. A TV match. They didn't want to beat me because their idea was maybe to possibly put me with Lex as his protege. Being I'm from Atlanta, I worked out at his gym, all this other stuff. Lex is just big, protege, Lex, flag bearer. I could be his regular flag bearer almost. However you wanted to finagle that, I think. And so we came back, did regular stuff in Memphis, went back again, and Lawler brought a bunch of us. And again, they didn't put me in matches. And Lawler was getting a little frustrated, I guess, maybe why I wasn't working. Cut? I don't know if he did or not. We were all getting a complete $200, and of course it was extra money per show, so that was nice. So that was one of the things. Hey, I'm not in Memphis on money, but I'm making $200, for WWF. When you're starving, you take the work, and that I didn't work that Raw, and then that following Tuesday ended up working a dark match with Gorgeous George. And Sid Vicious, of all people, actually was, for some reason, had gotten to know George a little bit in USWA because Sid had worked some shows. And Sid was pushing for George to do well. I don't know why. I don't know why he was doing it, but he did. And they put us in a dark match to make George look good. And we worked each other in Memphis, and he started screwing up everything he was doing in the match. And the match just sucked. My shit looked great because I didn't do anything extravagant. My shit looked fine. George looked like crap. Sid blamed it on me. So when we got to the back, Sid's blaming it on me, blah blah. So that gets back to Lawler. So Lawler starts getting a little heat with me. Finally, when it's time to leave leave USA for WCW, I had told Jerry I didn't want to go work any more WWF shows. He's like, why? I said, because WCW is interested in me. Terry Taylor told me not to do anything with WWF. If I'm on TV, if I lose, Lawler goes nuts on me in the dressing room in front of the whole locker room. Not WWF, but USWA. Lawler goes, this is a bunch of crap. This kid here doesn't want to go make money. He can lose in WWF. That's not going to hurt him in WCW.
So Lawler calls you out in front of the locker room. This is at Memphis at like a TV taping?
It's not a TV. It was actually the spot show.
Okay.
Where Lawler is basically going, he's putting WWF against WCW and going in front of the whole locker room from, like I said, Tommy Rich is there, Doug Gilbert, his son, PG-13, George is there, just everybody, it was about 20 guys in the locker room. And Lawler just goes, this kid thinks she's too good to go put guys over in WWF because he's now thinks he's going to be somebody in WCW. You know, he wants to go to WCW. He don't want to go to WWF and have a job and put guys over and stuff like that. Do you think losing WWF is going to make you look bad for WCW? It's a work. We all know it's a work. It won't hurt you. You can go lose. And even I'm smart enough to know that that's bullshit. And the fact that he called me out in front of the entire locker room like that, I just grabbed my bag and said, I'm out for the night. Bye, guys. Grabbed my bag and left. And still had another, I think, you know, actually that was in Evansville. After I told, now that it's all coming back to me in a big flash, that was in Evansville after I told Randy Hale that I was leaving.
Oh, that was afterwards?
Yes.
Okay, so was that your last night?
Yeah.
So
that was my final complete night that Lawler called me out in front of everybody in that dressing room because I told him I was leaving.
Ah, so that's basically why he did it.
Yeah. And Lawler wanted me to, and Lawler was like, you know, you can't go back to do WWF TVs. We got TVs coming up. I got you booked on TV. Lawler's trying to go get me to do WWF TVs.
I got it.
And lose and put people over. WCW is bringing me in as Bagwell's partner. He even put over, I remember it now, if somebody's come back to me, he's like, he's going to be Mark Bagwell's partner. What's that going to do for you? I mean, he is completely stomping WCW.
So he's really playing WWF company guy, basically.
Exactly. And, I mean, and even some of the guys are going like, man, what's your deal? Why you're leaving? I'm like, guys, I'm getting an opportunity here.
Really, probably most of the guys in the locker room are jealous.
Well, I don't know if it's jealousy or not because I didn't stick around long enough to find out. I just said, I'm gone, I'm done, and I got to go.
You're going to work for a billionaire.
I'm going to go to WCW. Don't know what's going to happen. And but Lawler is just bitching at me. Randy Hale was bitching at me because I told Randy Hale right after I beat Tracy Smothers in Evansville that, you know, I had to leave. He's pitching a fit. You can't leave. You guys spent, you know, it's 2 weeks. You got to give me a 2-week notice. We got to beat you for the next 2 weeks here. And Lawler's want me to go to WWF and get beat by guys. So they're all wanting me to you know, and I'm probably one of the first guys. Well, I'm one of probably, not the first guy, but probably one of the few guys that's not a major player, I guess, if you want to view it that way, to just bolt, you know. And here's a funny thing. I'm taking this idea of being Bagwell's partner and everything over a concept that was put over of me being Lex's flag bearer. So I'm actually weighing these things, but in my mind I'm also going, here's Jerry Lawler busting my balls in front of everybody, but I'm not going to want to do TVs and lose, which basically means Lawler knows that thing probably ain't going to work with Lex. And I have no idea that Lex is leaving and going to show up at the first Nitro. Right. So I don't know any of this. Because me and Lex, we aren't pals at the time. We don't know each other. He doesn't know me from a fucking hole in the wall. Mm-hmm. So when it boiled down to it, I just bolted. I was like, I'm done. I'm gone. And the only thing that actually maybe, I don't know how I want to put this, was a saving grace that maybe I didn't leave with the heat I thought I had, at least with the Jarretts, was about a month later. Maybe it's actually a little longer because they didn't have an actual address that I don't know how they even got an address for me, but I got a check from Jarrett Promotions. And it was my last 2 weeks where the money I got extra, they actually sent it to me, which I figured I'd never see if I got any extra bonuses from what the houses were. And they were doing the Smoky Mountain versus USWA at the time, where Smoky Mountain was invading. Right. And I remember it was in Memphis. They had that 20-foot steel cage or whatever that nobody was supposed to be able to get into. That was the historic idea of it that I almost climbed to the fucking top of. And nobody was getting me down. What am I supposed to do? Stop climbing and fall down or something on my own. You know, maybe that's probably what I should have done. Otherwise, I was going to kill the gimmick because there's no way you can climb this thing. So here I am climbing the thing to do it for the cage, and I'm leaving, and all this stuff going on. So maybe there's a few things that I did about the end of the time there that was starting to piss a few people off. But to me, it was my shot that was coming up. It was a thing that Arn Anderson told me before. Leave. It's the only way you're going to make something happen. I leave. I get more experience, more exposure, better at what I'm doing. Got Billy Jack Haynes telling me things to get better. Tommy Rich telling me things to get better. Brian Lee telling me things to get better. Doug Gill, all these guys were taking a little investment in me and trying to help me get better. Watch my matches. Didn't ask them to. They did it on their own, which I was very, very appreciative of them. And, you know, that is what kind of prepared me to come into WCW. And when just the bitching and stuff, I guess, took its toll on me, that's why I kind of erupted. And, you know, when they're browbeating you like that in front of everybody, getting the old two fingers and say, time to go.
When you give it back to Lawler a little bit, or just basically kind of, you know, don't show, you know, you don't let them kind of get over on you like that. Do you see like a reaction from the other guys, like, oh wow, you just kind of no-sold?
I actually don't know what the reactions were because I left. I was done.
Anybody call you up and tell you?
That night I left Evansville, Indiana, and drove 7.5 straight hours. I think I drove all the way from Evansville to Atlanta because I had to be in Atlanta on Friday at the latest to meet up with Marcus to help get our outfits made.
TitleMatchNetwork.com